Another apocalyptic film to add to the pile, we have a film called Breathe, coming to VOD on April 26th. What did I think about it? Well, let's discuss it. Breathe is a sci-fi action film that was directed by Stefon Bristol, and I've never seen any of his previous works. The film stars Milla Jovovich, Sam Worthington, Jennifer Hudson, and Common, and it's set in the year 2039 in an apocalyptic setting where the world has been decimated, air supply is very scarce, and you have this mother and daughter fighting for survival when some intruders try to come in and steal their oxygen supply. Going into Breathe, I did watch a trailer for this film about a month ago. I saw that Milla Jovovich was in it, and I was like, I'm definitely game. I always like her in the Resident Evil movies, despite the fact that those movies get a lot of hate. And this film, it takes place in a futuristic world. The whole world has been destroyed. There is not very good oxygen on Earth. Plants can't even live. And we have this family that is living off this O2 generator that the father actually created because he's an engineer. And the film starts off with a bang because you have this grandfather and this father. They're in this house. They're looking for supplies. And the grandfather, he actually slips through the house and falls through the cracks of this house. And he actually dies because his tube comes apart. The father goes back home and he reports the news to his wife and daughter that their grandfather has passed away. And he's going to take his body to Philadelphia, lay him to rest next to their grandmother. So he goes off on that mission and he goes missing. So then you have the daughter and the mother who are fighting, and they're really having this big rocky relationship that we see on screen. And meanwhile, they have these intruders that knock on their door because they live in this bunker, in an underground bunker, where they're away from everyone. And this town is very deserted. There's no one around, so they're not used to having anybody actually around. And so Milla Jovovich and Sam Worthington, they knock on their door and they're like, hey, we know your father. We know who he was. I'm a professor. And it really turns into a game of, can they actually trust them? Humanity really comes into form. And throughout that process, there is a little bit of action that actually goes down. But a lot of this film, it isn't really a nonstop action kind of film. It has its sci-fi kind of vibe to it, but I think it kind of takes it to a minimum. It really focuses on all the characters. I am okay with the look of this film. A lot of people online have been really complaining about the look of the orange and red filter that they use in this film, but I think they need to realize this is a lot lower budget film, so you're not getting like $100 million budget or probably even a $50 million budget. Who knows what the budget for this film actually was, but they don't really have that kind of budget, but they do paint a picture of this world being very deserted. The buildings, they're crashed down, they're very low on supplies, and the world, it feels very empty, it feels cold, and you feel like these characters, they don't really have a lot of hope. It feels very hopeless in this world that they're actually in. And what I also liked about this film is the camera work here is very steady. They don't try to overdo any shots. They make it very simplistic. The story, for the most part, is pretty simplistic for the most part. All the characters here, they do try to flesh them out a little bit. I did like Sam Worthington because in this, he does have an evil part that he actually plays. And I was thinking to myself, I really hope that he gets more roles where he can be more so a bad guy, because I really haven't seen him in that kind of way. I've always kind of seen him in the hero roles. Acting all around here is fine. I feel like every actor and actress here, they all are veterans for the most part, and they know what they're doing. They have nothing where I felt like there was some cringy dialogue, or I felt like they weren't really playing the best kind of role they could. I felt like they were doing everything they could with this script. There is some tension that they actually build, mainly so when both Milla Jovovich and Sam Worthington are knocking on this door. Then we really start to play with ideas in our heads of, are they really telling the truth? Can we really trust them? And the fact that they really never have any humans around them, this family, what they're dealing with, it's just one of those things where you take a look at these people and you're like, is everything they're actually saying really the truth? And should I believe them? Should I feel like I should do the humane thing and let them in and get this oxygen? Because they really come for this oxygen, because they say that they're with this other group of about 25 people back in Philadelphia, and they need this oxygen to survive because their oxygen supply is going to run out. From an entertainment standpoint, I did feel the runtime a little bit in this this film. Towards the second half of this film, it definitely slowed down a little bit for me. I got a little bit detached from the movie itself and some of the action and certain higher stakes that were provided more so within the first act of the movie. It dies down a little bit, but then it starts to really build back up in the third act, and then you start to really pick up in the movie, and it really has some more action, and you feel like the characters, they're really at risk at what is actually going on. I think some people, they're going to go into this movie and they're going to think it's this crazy sci-fi film with like spaceships and gadgets, and it's just going to be crazy scientific stuff, and it's not really that. It just has a dash of scientific kind of analysis within this film. It doesn't have a big world building to it. It definitely has just like the basics as far as, you know, what's actually gone down as far as like the world being in destruction. You don't see the world being in destruction. You don't really get a lot of background with the world going into destruction. And I think that really ties into the budget. If you have a little bit more budget, you could actually show that destruction and really show how we actually got here. You get a little bit of exposition within the beginning of the film that really tells you what's actually going on, which really does actually help. And I think there's enough world building here where you can really get the gist of everything that's really going down. And by the time the film actually wraps up, I think it wraps up in a way that really makes sense, and you feel like that journey, it really made sense, and you feel like your characters, everything that they really went through, it really made sense. And you feel like by the time the film wraps up, you felt like you got a little bit of what you wanted, but at the same time, there could have been a little bit more to it. And that really just ties back down into the budget. So as far as the score for this film, I would give it a 2.5 out of 5. I don't think this film is worth 3.7 out of 10 on IMDb. I don't think it's that bad. It's nothing great by any stretch of the imagination, but it's at least entertaining in certain aspects of it. The acting is fine, and I think overall the whole shot composition and the camera work is just fine. There's no shaky cam. Everything is pretty clear. It's not really asking a lot from the audience itself. You just need to sit back, maybe on a Sunday afternoon, it's raining outside, and you turn this on and just say, you know what, I'm gonna watch a sci-fi movie, the world-ending kind of movie, if you want to put it that way, and just sit back and enjoy the acting overall and just enjoy the story for what it is. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's nothing you haven't seen before. Some of the parts in the movie, it may not feel like it makes sense, which I completely understand from that perspective, but overall, it's fine for what it is, and that's why I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. But I want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think about this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? And let me know, are you going to check it out when it comes to VOD if you have not checked it out yet, or are you going to skip it altogether? Leave any and all comments down below. And also, if you watch a lot of Milla Jovovich films, let me know what your favorite film from her is. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.